What's up, y'all? This is DJ Kenny Parker, DJ and producer for Boogie Down Productions / KRS-One, and today I'm back with another video. Today's story is part of my ongoing series I call Epic Fails, When Hip Hop Goes Wrong. Today's topic is the legendary crew, the Boot Camp Clik. Now, in order for me to explain to you guys my epic fail and some of my wins with the Boot Camp Clik, I got to give you guys a little history. It all started back in 1992. I was riding in the car shotgun with my main man, DJ Premier from Gang Starr. We were listening to all kind of hip hop music, and he was about to drop me off at a club. There was this new song that I only heard maybe a couple of times, but it was buzzing all over the city. And DJ Premier actually had it on a cassette. It was called Who Got the Props? Me and Premier was rocking hard to that song, and then we pull up to the club and he drops me off. I get out the car and I walk up to the club. Now, in front of the club, there was all kind of people. People going in, people just hanging out. And I bumped into my homeboy, who I had met a few months earlier. Now, this guy I had seen around. We always say what's up. He was mad cool. So he says to me, "Hey, Kenny, what's up? I saw you and DJ Premier riding past, bumping my song." It's like, what are you talking about bumping your song? What do you mean? He was like, "Yeah, y'all playing my new song. Who Got the Props?" I said, "What? Your new song? You're rapping on it?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm Buckshot." For some reason, I either had no idea he was a rapper or I just forgot. Anyway, as we all know, Who Got the Props exploded and the rest was history. Later on, I got to meet the rest of the guys from Black Moon. I met Evil D and his brother, Mr. Wall, collectively known as the Beat Miners. We eventually became very good friends. Shout out to my brothers, Evil D and Mr. Wall. So, me being a New York City DJ around this time, what I used to do was go up to all of the record companies to try to get 12-inch promo releases of whatever they had coming out. So I used to go up to the record company called Nervous Records, which put out Black Moon. Coincidentally, the owner of Nervous Records is named Michael Weiss. He is the cousin of a guy named Barry Weiss who owned Jive Records, who Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One was signed to. It's a small world. So I used to go up to Nervous Records all the time, and me and Barry Weiss became pretty cool. So one day, I went up to Nervous Records just to hang out, and Barry Weiss said to me, "Hey, Kenny, I want to play you some cuts off of the new Black Moon album. Tell me what you think should be a single." So I was like, "New Black Moon? Come on, let's go." So he played me about 5 songs, maybe 6 songs off of the album, and asked me what I thought. So of course, to me, all the songs were banging. But there was this one song. It had a smooth beat, and it had a KRS-One sample in the hook, and Buckshot had the ill flow on it. I said to Michael Weiss, "I think this song right here should be the single." He said, "All right, cool, thanks." And that was it. After I heard selections off the Black Moon album, I immediately thought to myself, these guys, the Beat Miners, who is the sound behind Black Moon, are really dope. As I mentioned before in my sex and violence video breakdown from a few months ago, that after I heard DJ Premier's work, I was screaming at the top of my lungs to everybody, "This guy is dope. Y'all need to work with DJ Premier," including KRS. And nobody listened to me at the time. So once again, when I heard the Beatminer's work, I was screaming, "These guys are dope. Y'all need to work with them." And I went to KRS and I said, "Yo, these guys, the Beatminers, you need to work with them." Once again, nobody listened to me. This was around the time right after the Return of the Boom Bap had been released, but before Black Moon Enter the Stage had come out. I've always wondered what would have happened if KRS-One and the Beatminers had got together around that time. KRS had started working on his new album entitled KRS-One, and I always wonder what would have happened if the Beatminers could have been on that album. Anyway, we'll never know. Guess it'll be one of those hip-hop what-ifs. Fast forward a few weeks after that, I was back up at Nervous Records, hanging out, and I asked the president of Nervous Records, Michael Weiss, "So what did you guys ever pick for the single for the new Black Moon album?" He said, "We picked the song that you told us to pick. You said it would be a good single, so we're going with it." I was like, "You picked the single because of what I said? Whoa, that's a lot of pressure." As it turned out, the single that I picked was called "How Many MCs?" And history will show that that was actually a good pick and turned out to be a classic record. As we all know, Black Moon released their following single, the remix to "I Got You Open," which turned out to be Black Moon's biggest song. Few months after that, they were about to drop the third single off the album called "Buck 'Em Down."
Yeah, what up?
Now, right around this time, I went up to Nervous Records, just hanging out once again, and because of my relationship with Michael Weiss and the guy who was head of promotions at the time, Drew Ha, they gave me an advanced cassette of "Buck 'Em Down" and a new song from the B-side called "Murder MCs."
I woke up in the night, grabbed my phone.
So I took the cassette and I left. But before I went home, I had one more stop to make, which was at Bad Boy Records to pick up the new single by the Notorious B.I.G. called "Juicy." And the reason I wanted that single was for the B-side, actually, a song produced by DJ Premier called "Unbelievable." While I was up there getting the 12-inch single, I bumped into this radio DJ from New York City who was my homeboy. So he was like, "Yo, what you doing? What's up, man? Why don't you come by my crib? Let's listen to some music and chill." So I was like, "All right, I'm not doing nothing." So I went to the guy's house. So while we were there, we were talking. He was like, "Yo, so what's good with you?" I said, "Yeah, I just left Nervous Records and they gave me a cassette of some new Black Moon." He was like, "New Black Moon? I want to hear it. Put it in the cassette deck." So I was like, "Sure." I put the tape in the cassette deck and we started listening to Murder MCs. What I didn't know is while we were listening to Murder MCs, this guy was secretly making a copy of the tape onto a DAT. So after we listened to the song, I took the tape and I went home. Later on that night, this guy world premiered Murder MCs on the radio. The very next day, I get a call from DJ Evil D. He was like, "Yo, the office just got 30 calls from DJs around the country wondering why they didn't get a copy of Murder MCs and why we only gave it to this one DJ. We were trying to figure out how did this record leak because we didn't give it to anybody. And then we remembered we gave it to you. Who did you give the tape to?" I was like, yo, I didn't give the tape to nobody. I would never do that. Then I remembered, yo, I played the tape when I was at this dude's house and he made a dub. I told Evil D what happened and I was sorry and I had no idea that this guy was gonna do that. Evil D was actually cool. He said, don't worry about it, man. He said, we was gonna give the record to this guy anyway, but as you know, if you give the record to one DJ, you gotta give it to all the DJs or it's gonna look like you're playing favoritism and it could hurt our relationship. Once again, I apologized and I said to Evil D, I would never do anything to hurt your relationships and it would never happen again. But I think I messed up my connect up at Nervous. The moral to that story is the music industry is a ruthless and cutthroat business, and people will do anything just to get a little edge in the game. I was young at the time, and I thought I knew how grimy the music business was, but actually, I had no idea. Fast forward to a few months later, and I went to this free New York City outdoor rap concert that they had up in Harlem. On the bill was Mike Geronimo, Nasty Nas, and Black Moon and Smith-N-Wessun. Right before they were about to go on, I ran into one of the beat miners, my boy, Mr. Walt. So we decided to watch the show together. While we were chilling there watching the show, Smith-N-Wessun decided to premiere a new song off of their upcoming album that wasn't out yet. As soon as the beat dropped, I was like, oh my God, what is this? I turned to Mr. Walt and I said, Joe, who did this beat? Mr. Walt said, I did the beat. I said, Walt, this beat is incredible. He said, yo, you want to hear the rest of the Smith-N-Wessun album? Come to the crib. So I was like, yo, let's go. So we left from Harlem and went to Brooklyn to Mr. Walt's house down in the basement, and he played me the Smith-N-Wessun album. He played track after track, all bangers. But once again, as soon as this one song came on, it blew me away. I said, Walt, I don't care what you do, you gotta make this song a single. Walt said, I can't, man, because this song doesn't really have a hook. Now, normally, I would agree with Walt. 99.9% of the time, in order for a song to reach its proper potential, it needs some kind of catchy chorus or some kind of hook to draw in the people. But this time, I said to Walt, I don't care if this song doesn't have a hook. You have got to put this song out. The way these guys are flowing to this beat and the way this beat sounds, this has got to be a single. So Walt was like, all right, man. And he just left it at that. A few months later, apparently, my opinion must have been a consensus opinion because they eventually made this song a video and single. The song was called Soundboy Burial, and it went like this.
We are going to jump and sound. You cannot cross the border, cause we are clown.
History will show that not only was I right about Soundboy Burial, but my track record with the Boot Camp Clik was actually pretty good. Anyway, shout out to the whole Black Moon, Buckshot, 5FT, Evil D. Shout out to Smith-N-Wessun. Shout out to OGC. Shout out to Helter Skelter. Sean Price, rest in peace. Shout out to Drew High. And rest in peace to my man who used to work at Nervous, Just O. Anyway, y'all, that's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you haven't already picked up the book, my brother's name is Kenny, the greatest true hip-hop story ever told. It's the origin story of Boogie Down Productions and my family history, my crazy upbringing. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes BDP stuff and some other hip-hop stories that no one's ever heard before. It's a great read. Pick it up. Until next time,